Good morning, America. I am your host, Shel Newkirk, and this morning we will be talking about the current Okay, in place of our regularly scheduled programming, we will now take you to the President's live address.
Hello, fellow citizens of America. Last night at 12:34 in the morning, Los Angeles, California was bombed by a number of chemical weapons. Currently 12,054 people are dead. There have been no survivors. The soil and water supply in LA has been so contaminated that the city will be uninhabitable for a number of years. Besides just the contamination, scientists have also been theorizing that numerous birth defects will be created from these chemicals. I have met with Congress and the Department of Defense, and we have decided to send in troops to the grounds in Ukraine and in Russia, freeze financial accounts, and start wiretapping potential terrorists. Instead of just sitting idly by while Russia brings the war to us, we will bring the war to them. We will also send our best instructors from West Point and that will instruct Ukrainian troops on how to best fight the Russians. This will enable us to bring the war to the front lines and show them that even if you mess with the smallest of us, remember, Ukraine was invaded, and that was what started everything. We will come at you with full force. Big brother America will be here. I will also personally be accepting refugees, especially women, children, and the elderly. The Ukrainian people have been fighting by themselves for far too long. They deserve justice. They deserve help. Even though we are the ones who have been attacked, we cannot turn away starving women and children. But at the same time, we cannot leave our home front unguarded. We will start wiretapping potential terrorists. These include hackers that are in connection with Russia and people with connections to Russian government members. We will also be suspending all peace talks with Russia. This is wartime. We cannot leave any stone untapped or unturned. Certain freedoms and liberties are lost when people decide to declare war, which is what Russia did last night. Our last action is to freeze the bank accounts of any potential and confirmed terrorists. This will cut them off at the very source. If they do not have any money, they will be unable to purchase any more weapons that can hurt us. I'm still going to be meeting with Congress and the Department of Defense to try to figure out any alternative options and the best possible solutions to this problem. Our goal is to try to end this with the least amount of bloodshed possible. This is to ensure global connectedness after the war. One alternative solution that was offered to me that I did decline was to detain all potential terrorists in an effort to not create another Guantanamo Bay and to not create any infractions on the No Cruel and Unusual Punishments Clause. Myself and my team have decided against that. But if worse comes to worse, we will take decisive action on anyone who dares to hurt America and our future.
Sorry to interrupt our regularly scheduled programming, but I have been asked to relay a few quick facts about the United States and Russia. Diplomatic relations between the United States and Russia were established in 1809. Purchase of Alaska in 1867 from Russia marked the end of Russian efforts to expand trade and settlements in the Pacific coast of North America. This started the rise of the United States as a great power in the Asian Pacific region. The Cold War was started by the United States. During the Cold War, the United States started developing more weapons and guns and tried to rid Russia from communism. During the Cold War, the space race started between the U.S. and Russia. See who could arrive in space first and then to the moon. This raised tension, and Russia put missiles in Cuba. An intense standoff occurred between the two over the course of 13 days, and finally coming to an agreement as the world's two nuclear superpowers, Russia and the United States bear a unique responsibility to keep the peace and discourage the proliferation of nuclear or chemical weapons. Period after 9/11, where Russia helped the U.S. in the war in Afghanistan, and during the Barack-Medvedev, wherein they both cooperated on arms control in Afghan and Iran. Putin granted political asylum to Edward Snowden, the disgruntled NSA contractor who stole millions of classified documents and fled to Russia via Hong Kong. It rebuffed President Obama's request to return him. Obama then canceled a planned summit with Putin. The U.S. in recent years has imposed sanctions on Russia, reducing access to financing and limiting certain access to certain technologies for many reasons. Their aggressive actions against Ukraine, their occupation of Crimea, interference in U.S. elections, and using banned weapons-grade chemical substances against Russian nationals. On to our regularly scheduled programming.
Now that we know what the president thinks, let's speak to 3 experts from the opposing sides. First, let me introduce our liberal analyst, Ms. Ketsia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Craig.
And our conservative analysts, Mr. Edward and Ms. Niobe.
Good afternoon.
You know, a little bit outnumbered here.
Now on to our first question. This one is for both parties. What was your initial reactions to the actions the president has taken in response to the chemical attack on Los Angeles?
Well, we're in shock because we didn't know that Russia was going to go this far.
However, we will do anything to protect the American lives.
Yeah, strong on that one. Me personally, I was very stunned to see just a wonderful, wonderful place like California, you know, just torn down by just such crazy actions. But then I had to think, what's going to be the next step in our country? We're gonna put things in place to help out the American people in the communities. Sorry,
Those were very thoughtful responses. Thank you for sharing. Now our second question is just for the conservative analysts. As opponents of big government, how do you feel about the president monitoring emails, text messages, and financial logs?
We do not believe in freezing and wiretapping into potential Russian terrorists. Yes, in order to protect the future of the United States, we should do anything to filter out any threats. But at what cost is this for the citizens to lose trust in the American government? We believe that the government should not be involved in citizens' daily lives as it goes against the freedom of America.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you. Now our next question is for everyone at the table. Do you feel that your constitutional rights are being violated by the president's response?
Our president is doing a very great job of making very
You got it.
constitutional decisions on the next steps we need to take as a country. However, tapping and freezing assets goes against Amendment 4 because getting searched by the government is not acceptable by the Constitution.
Now on to our next question. As you know, the president has decided to send troops to Russia. Do you think this is a wise decision, or do you oppose her choice?
We believe in protecting and defending America at all costs, and for the liberty of this country. Sending troops to Russia to educate the Ukrainian troops on proper defense and combat is a very wise decision. Russian troops are advanced in invasion and defending their country, so sending in troops to help protect our allies is something America needs. Our troops are stronger and trained to aid Ukrainian troops in winning this war. Pushing back communism to advocate a strong national defense is what we want to achieve. A rebuttal?
I don't believe it would be wise of us to put our money into another country. I believe that we should keep it inside our country. The taxpayer money should go back to the taxpayers. They need help feeding their children, getting back into their stable lives. Ukraine, we very much want to support them, but in the time of need, we need to put our money into our people and our communities.
Yes, true. So, on to the next question. Speaking of the president's actions, what actions would you have taken in response to the attack on our country?
For me personally, I would, accept refugees, and of course, make sure that whoever we're sending in or welcoming in has no criminal background, and of course, has evidence of residency in Ukraine, the area that we are trying to help out, and of course, has no association with Russia or the Russian government.
Also going along with the current theme of actions, how do you think the president's actions will affect the citizens?
Go.
The president's actions of sending troops to Ukraine may help Americans believe that America is strong enough to protect another country. However, America accepting in refugees and such may lower down the economy and lessen jobs for the American people.
Of course, sending in the troops may even fear some people. Some people may get very anxious and see where will this go?
Now to close down this interview, do you agree with the scientists' evaluations of the chemical attacks effects on LA? If you didn't know, they're saying LA will be uninhabitable.
But if our scientists say that California won't be a healthy place to go back into, then I believe that California will not be a place to go back into. They have been doing their research. These people are certified in what they're doing. They have been in years of school and researching and experimenting. These people know what they're talking about. They know what they're working on.
We do not believe in any birth defects and anything that's going to happen over the years. However, this mostly has an economic drastic change. We think LA is strong enough to recover from this, and we will be stronger as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
For years to come, and possible birth defects may occur. Now, as the president said, 3 days ago, a tragic event occurred at 12:34 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. And so far, 12,054 people have been identified and found dead so far, not counting unidentified bodies and people that are gone missing. The city was bombed by Russian forces with chemical weapons, which is going to make the city and surrounding areas uninhabitable for no telling how many years to come. We have been informed from inside sources that the soil and water supply has been extremely contaminated and cannot be repaired. Aside from the contamination, scientists have said that in future years, birth defects may come in the new generations. The president has decided to send in troops, freeze financial accounts, and start wiretapping potential terrorists. I quote President Paulson. Instead of sitting idly by while Russia brings the war to us, we will bring the war to them. We will also send our best instructors from West Point to instruct the Ukrainian troops on how to best fight the Russians. I will also be personally accepting refugees, specifically women, children, and the elderly. The Ukrainian people have been fighting by themselves for far too long. They deserve justice, and they deserve help. Thank you for listening and watching Good Morning America today. Be safe, Americans.